After the betrayal was discovered, there's probably one question that's been haunting you every day ever since. Why? Why did they do that? And if you're honest with yourself, every answer you've gotten until now feels like it's not good enough. It meant nothing. I was just lonely. It was a stupid mistake. Yeah, but the thing about that is, no, it wasn't. Plus, if you accept those answers, you're going to rebuild a relationship off of confusion, fear, and false security. So in this video, I'm going to break down the 9 stages of infidelity and show you exactly why cheating actually happens, why it had nothing to do with just a moment, and how to make sure that it never happens again. But before we get into it, do me a favor, hit the like button so more people who are going through what you are can find real help. Let's first start with the real problem, which is where a lot of couples go wrong, because the betrayed is trying to decide, do they love me or not? Because in your logical mind, the only thing that makes sense is they cheated because they don't love me. But here's the truth, cheating is not a love problem, it is a pattern problem. And if you don't understand the pattern, you will never feel safe again, because you're not just watching their actions now, you're actually paying attention to their patterns, how they think, how they respond to stress, how they respond to when things get hard, all while trying to figure out, are they the same person or not? The answer comes through self-awareness. This is why we need to break this down. Stage number 1, the cause. The event or events that created the actions and patterns that led to infidelity. Now, cheating doesn't start in the bedroom, it starts long before that. It is a combination of the past and present, childhood wounds, past relationships, insecurities, and what's currently happening in life. Now, perhaps during that time, there was disconnection between you and your spouse. Constant arguments, stress at work, family problems. Now, all of that doesn't cause cheating, but it activates what's already inside of you, which leads to stage number 2, the emotional effect. How you emotionally reacted as a result of these events. You may have had feelings of loneliness, rejection, resentment, feeling unheard and unseen. Now, where the mistake was made was these emotions, these feelings, they were not regulated. No, instead, it was just sat in, which leads to stage number 3, the interpretation. How you began interpreting why these events were happening and what they meant. Now, this is where things get dangerous, because you start telling yourself things like, my partner doesn't care about me, they no longer love me, and my relationship is falling apart, so what does it matter? But the thing about that is, most of these interpretations are not true, but they feel true, they feel real, and that's what you believe in that moment. And what you believe drives you. Stage number 4, the desire. What you began desiring emotionally and physically at that point. This is where you start wanting something, not another person at first. You start wanting comfort, validation, escape, attention. But that is where most people get stuck, because they think it just happened. But no, it didn't. It was building, which leads to stage number 5, the action. What specific actions they took in order to meet their desires. That is where they take a first step, and at first, it usually looks innocent. What they may start doing is talking to someone more, opening up emotionally, and sharing personal struggles. And then what happens? More texting, more connection, more secrecy, until eventually it crosses that line you cannot return from, which leads to stage number 6, the justification. How you convinced yourself that your own actions were not wrong or as bad as they were, so that you can continue in them and avoid the guilt. Now, this is critical for you to know, because they start convincing themselves things like, I'm not doing anything wrong, this isn't that serious, my partner doesn't care anyway, or I deserve this. That last one, that's entitlement. And entitlement gives you a way to cheat without feeling like a bad person. Stage number 7, the patterns and issues. You see, this is where those actions become patterns. Patterns of avoidance, validation seeking, compartmentalization. And this means it's no longer just a one-time thing. This is now who you are. Stage number 8, the origins, where the issues and patterns were first created. This is where you go deeper. Where did this all come from? Where you can look into are things like childhood neglect, growing up observing an unhealthy relationship, never learning emotional communication, and avoiding conflict your entire life. But now you see, this is where the real work happens. because now you can connect. This didn't just start with the affair. This started years ago. And finally, stage number 9, the cure. What is required to break the pattern and create a new identity? This part is where most people fail because they think, I'll just try harder. But here's the thing, real change is not promised, it's trained. So this is where you identify your patterns, interrupt them in real time and replace them with new behaviors, and reinforce them through repetition. And not just when it's easy, both when you are in calm and when you are triggered. And yes, that can be very challenging, but here's what it is, and if you are ready for it, here it is. If you cannot change in that moment, you cannot change yourself, and you cannot change your life. So remember, moment by moment, you are practicing, you are training, you are becoming, you are reinforcing with repetition. Now, let's ask a different question. What actually gives you, the betrayed spouse, some closure? Because you already know closure doesn't come from apologies, I'll never do it again, or even simple transparency. Closure comes from when you both can clearly understand it and see that they have changed. Because then you're not guessing anymore. You can actually see their awareness, their ownership, their consistency. And that is what allows you to start trusting again. So what to do now? If you are the unfaithful, write this down, go through the 9 stages, be honest. Not surface level, go deep, real, true, genuine honesty. This is important because if you do not understand yourself, your patterns will eventually repeat. If you are the betrayed, if you want to heal, you are required to do your work too, not to excuse the actions, but to rebuild who you are. So here is something that you can do today. Write down in detail who you were, who you are now as a result of everything, and who you are to become if you are going to get through this on top. Meaning, what version of you are you to become? Who do you need to become to regain your happiness, your peace, your confidence? Because this version of you has been hurt and is very uncertain. But the next version of you has to be rebuilt. And the both of you have to train, not just talk about it. Because only talking isn't going to rebuild anything. And how you both train is through reinforcement of your new identity. Activities such as journaling the same identity building statements daily, verbal affirmation with full intention, through conversations and real life application. That is how identity changes. Now, if you both are absolutely serious about fixing this, not just talking about it, I've opened up access to the 9 stages method inside the Skool community. This is where I walk you step by step through this process. The link to get in is below. And if you, the betrayed, are serious about rebuilding yourself, I've created for you a Rebuild Yourself After Betrayal toolkit. This is going to help you rebuild your stability, your identity, and your confidence. That link is also below. But before you go, remember this: you do not rebuild trust by hoping. You rebuild it by making sure that what broke it the first time does not break it again. And that only happens when you understand the pattern and train to change it. I'll see you in the next video.